Welcome. This is Called to Serve podcast, and I am your host. My name is Oyama Mdleleni.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine.
In my podcast, I share my story, which I will leave on the description box below. My story of my story, and today I will be sharing how my story has affected my career path. As a child, whenever I would feel the pain and I would want to have an escape, I would go and I would play teacher, which is something that I would do as I would have imaginary friends, and whatever I had learned at school, I would replicate that and teach it to my invisible friends. And I would write on the wall. I remember I would take a chalk from classroom after school, and I would write on the wall whatever I had learned from school. And then I grew up. And then as I grew older, I never really had this to say this is what I want to be when I grow up, or I want to be a teacher, or I want to be, was never thought about it or even felt led to being whatever or to follow whatever career path. Fast forwarding to now matric, and I'm going to university. I remember in matric I majored in the subject I was doing was economics, accounting, mathematics, business economics, English, and isiXhosa. And my economics teacher was very supportive. She made me to enjoy economics and also business economics. I had wonderful teachers. My accounting teacher also, he was wonderful. Economics I was taught by a lady, so she made it fun, and I did well on my matric. I got matriculated. I passed with the exemption. And now I went to university. As I was applying, I wanted to pursue and continue with economics. I was applying for BCom. In the first year, I got accepted for BCom General, and I chose the major subjects, which was economics. I elected the subjects, which was economics. It was economics, information systems, and there were a number of them. There was also industrial psychology that I was doing, accounting again also in my first year. And when I got to university, there were a lot of challenges, and economics was quite tricky than I had anticipated. It was not the same as in the classroom setup. I ended up completing with BCom General. Essentially, I ended up completing with BCom General. now I started looking for jobs, and during the period now where I was studying, I volunteered. I remember I volunteered for a year. I started working also with the company that had paid my that gave me bursary, was paying for my tuition. And I was getting paid 120 rands for just doing filing as students, and then also I started working within that period of my university life. There's a gentleman who was doing his thesis, and he wanted an assistant, and I started working with him, and I acquired some experience there also. As growing up, I never had aspirations to be in any career. So when at varsity then, I started working now for this gentleman, and I completed my degree. My husband relocated to Johannesburg. I've shared a story of my husband and I, the transitioning now to Johannesburg. Started looking for a job. When I started looking for a job, I got into this program. It was hardly 2 months. I'm trying to give context in terms of how one thing led to another, and it just felt like a flow that the Lord had just strategized in terms of strategically placing me, and all these things happened, and it could have not have been my doing, but the grace of God. So I then started work. I moved to Joburg. I started applying for. I had acquired already now my degree. I started looking for a job. I moved to Joburg 2006 in November. By January, I was called for an interview to this program, which was by CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, where they were looking for graduates. Who had graduated from different fields, or different fields, and they were going to introduce them now to disaster management. And we'll study disaster management, start from honors and then master's degree. And the aim was to just show that disaster management is everyone's business. So that means all fields have a role to play in disaster management. All study backgrounds have a role to play in disaster management. Then, because there were students there who had done chemistry, environmental studies, they were just different study disciplines. And I got into it, and I got into it by chance. It was nothing that I had planned. I just wanted a job because at the time we already had a child, and I felt that and I was the first one at home to go to university in my family, and I felt that I wanted to also help out, in terms of my mother. So I got into the job. I started work. I studied the first year now in 2007. I studied the honors in 2008. I started my master's program. I then started working in 2009, a permanent job for a local municipality where I worked for 6 years. So what I'm just trying to show is that all of this happening where it felt like it was strategized, it was strategic, because one thing led to another. Even though I felt that there was no linkage in terms of my story and the career choice I had ended up in, but there is synchronization, because now the Lord had placed in my heart to say, with all that is happening in South Africa, all the gender-based violence that is happening in South Africa, why is it that the government is not declaring gender-based violence in South Africa a state of national disaster? A state of national disaster, as disaster in the Disaster Management Act of 2002 states that a disaster is it can be slow onset or rapid phenomenon that causes loss of life, that causes damage to property, that causes injury, and the affected, whether it's a municipality or province, cannot cope using only its resources, therefore that they need some form of assistance from government. If it's at a local level, they need assistance from the province. If it's at a provincial level, they need assistance from the national government. And national disaster and rape in South Africa and gender-based violence in South Africa, all provinces are affected by it. And therefore, why the government is not declaring gender-based violence as a state of national disaster. Children are being raped and they go missing and are being murdered. Women are being raped by their partners and murdered. And also women are being raped by a random men. Women don't feel safe in South Africa. I don't feel safe. I've never felt safe all of my life. I've never felt safe all of my life. I have always had to look over my shoulder. I have always have to be anxious whenever I need to be somewhere, to drive alone, or even driving with someone. I never feel safe. Why is it that when it is declared a state of national disaster, and therefore now we will have all these departments coming together, pulling their resources towards whether it's prevention, where it is possible, where there's total avoidance of these incidents, or mitigation, that is by reducing the impact in areas where that can be done, and also being prepared. Thirdly, being prepared for such incidents by pulling resources together. I know there's a Department of Women and Children in South Africa. That department coming together with the Department of Police, South African Police Services, also coming together, COGTA, Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs, where there is traditional leaders and also where the disaster management discipline is placed. local municipalities have a role to play. Pulling together resources and funding and expertise towards finding a solution, justice also coming in to contribute their expertise in terms of what does the law say and where can the law be amended to address these social ills of gender-based violence in South Africa. I will be sharing more in terms of research that I have done and also my own experience when it comes to this topic, when it comes to this, because it's so dear to my heart. The Lord has placed this heavy burden in my heart of saying, how can women be empowered? How can women be empowered to be able to find a voice, to be able to share their stories and not feel ashamed and blame themselves for what has happened to them, regardless of how much they felt that they contributed or the choices that they felt that they had made, but they do not deserve to be treated that way, even by their own partners and even by random men, no matter where they were at the time of the incident's occurrence. So I just have this heavy burden that there is something that can be done. I have a role to play. What is my role in the puzzle in trying to address this social ill, in trying to bring together all of these things? So it goes back again to my life experience of 30 plus years of this happening personally to me on a multiple occasions, and also now what I studied at university, my qualifications and my 15 years of work experience in the field of disaster management, which comes together and trying to find solutions as the Lord is using me as a solution to what has burdened me or what the desires He has placed in my heart, this heavy burden that I am feeling. So I hope this can inspire someone to also look into their own life and see where the Lord is leading them and what they can use, what the Lord has empowered them with over the years of their life experience, what they can use, because I believe that nothing is a waste. Nothing is a waste. No matter what mistakes you have done, no matter what pain you have gone through, nothing is a waste. Our Lord is not a waster. Our Lord is not a waster. He strategically positions us, and all the lessons that we learn in our own lives, He uses them. He uses them for His glory. And we find a blessing in our pain. Our pain turns into a blessing as it blesses others, it inspires other people. We are able to find solutions from our pain to prevent, mitigate, or prepare others so that they don't follow the same path, or they are also empowered to also deal with whatever struggles they have in their own lives. I will be sharing more in terms of what the statistics are of this in South Africa, of gender-based violence in South Africa, what is being done currently, where we can improve and what is the role, what is our role, how we can partner with God in addressing our social ills. I hope this inspires you. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video. I will be putting on the description box below my life story, a link to my life story, and also some other videos that I have made previously, so that you can get context in terms of what I've shared on this podcast. Looking forward to also in the future inviting other guests where they can share also their expertise in terms of their life experiences, how it has linked in terms of also their call in their lives, how God has strategically placed them. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much. Until we meet again.